Before this day, before these 2 years, in some very limited condition, the migrant worker can transfer sector. It means that if you are a caretaker, you might have possibility to transfer to the industrial work because in Taiwan, the social welfare workers was not protected by any legal law. So it means that the wage is only 17,000 NT, while the basic salary by the law is 24, and this year it become like 25,500. So the salary gap between the caretaker and the industrial work is become huge. And also the working hours for the caretakers, they have to stand by 24 hours whenever. So they have to take care of the patient even while in the midnight. So they don't really have the continuous rest. And most of the employer will expect them not to have any day off or maximum like twice in a month to go out of the house. So most of the caretakers are suffering a lot from like long working hour and low salary. The original problem become more severe in this pandemic situation. So that's the time the employer of domestic caretaker trying to convince the government not allow the domestic caretaker to transfer to other working condition to other category, working category.
What's the government's justification for having, domestic caregivers on, having different legislation, essentially protecting or not protecting the labour rights of domestic caregivers versus the general Taiwanese population?
Okay, that's a long history then. I mean, maybe you know already, as you know, that the social welfare system in Taiwan has been incomplete for such a long decades. And since 1990s, the government start to import cheap labor, as we call it, to replace the responsibility they should carry on. So far, there are so many excuses from the government. At the very beginning, they said that because we are planning to have the long-term care system. So they try to delay it. And when we have the long-term care system, they say that, oh, it's so difficult to have the working condition protection because it's the indoor. I mean, that's inside the household. It's hard to have like the regulation for the factory or something. We are trying to discuss, but it seems the government doesn't really want to take responsibility for it. These migrant workers become the employers like slave or something. I mean, they don't care what the workers are suffering. The policy or the system allow or enlarge the unequal relationship between employer and employee.